This week, Sarah and I make these awesome deck chairs.
So put down your tools, guys. It's time for Make or Break.
Welcome back, guys. I'm Ram.
And I'm Sarah, and we're outside on the deck.
Yeah, look at this beautiful, oh my gosh, a
Look at
stunning day.
that.
And we're enjoying it sitting in these lovely chairs. Look at those.
They're so comfortable.
My wife actually found these cushions over at Walmart. They're about $59 a piece, I think, something like that. So Sarah and I went looking for some great plans for chairs, and we found these 10-year-old plans from
Yes.
Anna White, and we modified them a little to make them work. And here's how it went. All right, so the plans Sarah and I found over at Anna White's we thought were perfect. There were just two minor changes we're going to make. One, we wanted to make the armrest wider, and two, we needed to make the actual seat 24 inches wide, which is wider than hers, specifically so it can hold these cushions that we found at Walmart. Now, once we were ready to go, we needed a total of 4 different sizes of wood. So we needed the 2x4s for most of the structure. We needed the 2x6s for the armrest, as I described. We then needed 1x4s for all the slats, and then we needed 2x2s, which we used to support those slats, which you'll see in a minute. So first things first, I had already done all the math. I knew we were going to build 2 chairs, so I just started measuring out all my cuts for both chairs. I cut all the 2x4s, and of course, you want to be sure that all of your pieces you cut, while they don't need to be an exact length, they need to be the same length. So it's best to use a stop block. And I've mentioned this before, our stop blocks are terrible. We've never set up anything like permanent, so we end up just taking blocks of wood, measuring it out, and then screwing them into our workbench, which works, but again, if you can, do a better job. So we measured out each one and we started making all of our cuts, and I got all of our 2x4s first into all the different sizes. Then I went through and cut all of our 1x4s, which again are going to be the slats. I cut our 2x2s, which are going to be our braces. And of course, I cut our 2x6s, which, as I said, are going to be our armrest. So once I had all of those cuts, all of them laid out, it was time for assembly. Now, I decided to actually put together just one chair at a time. I did this for 2 reasons. One, I wanted to make sure that it went together smoothly, to make sure I didn't make any mistakes. And then second of all, if I got one done, then while it was being painted by Sarah, I could be assembling the other one. So off we went. First things first was to assemble the arms. That meant taking our 2x6s, measuring out where 2 of the legs would go and 1 cross member, and we decided to use pocket holes in order to hold these together with pocket hole screws. So once I kind of laid them out, I marked where each pocket hole would go. Then I took my Craig jig, which I had bolted to the end of our workbench, and I drilled out all the holes. Of course, after that, it was just a matter of assembling them and screwing them together. After I had the legs on, I carefully measured from the bottom of the legs up to figure out where the crossbar was going to go. Then screwed it in too. Once I had the one side finished, I had to switch over and do the other side as well. Once I had our 2 armrests done, we needed to use our 24-inch cross members. And again, ours are wider than what Anna White called for in her instructions, because we were building these to support our 24-inch wide cushions that we found at Walmart. Now, when assembling things with pocket hole screws, it's best if you can to always use clamps to hold your 2 pieces together. The screws will pull the 2 pieces together, which is great, but again, you want it to pull exactly flat and straight. So we tried to use the flatness of our workbench and whatever clamps we could find to hold them together as we screwed them together. Once that was done, we pretty much had the frame of a chair. Next, we just needed to build our back and our seat. Now, these are made with the 1x4s. Now, to assemble these, because we need them all spaced exactly a ½ inch apart, we decided to build a simple jig into our workbench. I took 2 very straight pieces of wood, I screwed one into the workbench, and then I used a large square to make sure they were squared and then screw the other one in. So now I had my perfect right angle to work inside. Then I took a piece of ½ inch ply we had laying around. I cut out a bunch of strips so I could put those strips in between my 1x4 slats. Then it was as simple as laying them all out, pushing them together. Then I took my 2x2, rested it on top, and then slowly pre-drilled holes, and then drove the screws in to hold it all together. Oh, and I almost forgot, we also had to put 2 pocket holes very close to each other on the 2x2s, because that's how we would eventually assemble those and attach them to the side braces on the chair. Once I got that one piece done, we kind of fit it in place, and sure enough, it started to look like a chair, and it fit really well. So before screwing it in, we decided to go ahead and build the back as well, doing the exact same process. Now both the seat and the back are the same size in our design. In order to figure out where to line them up, we pretty much just made the slats go evenly and flush across the front of the chair, and then let the support at the back drop down, creating a natural angle until the bottom of the support piece matched up with the bottom of the cross supports in the chair. Then it was, just kind of a little difficult to reach underneath and get those screws in, but we got them. Then we took the back piece and kind of did the same thing. We just leaned it against the back, and then we moved that cross support down and made sure to leave an even gap across the back, so eventually when it's out in the rain, water can roll down and escape out the bottom. Once we had it assembled, we quickly grabbed one of the cushions just to see how it looked, and I'll tell you what, it looks really good. The last thing we had to do was to pre-drill some countersunk holes all the way across the slats on the front and in the top on the back. This is what would hold all the slats to the actual chair, and that went super smooth, and there you go. We had a chair. So we set it down on the ground, and Sarah and I each took turns sitting in it. Now, we did notice that this chair did not sit really flat. It's got a little bit of a rock to it. That's mainly because the wood we chose was not perfectly milled or perfectly straight. So we'll kind of deal with that issue later. If we have to, I can cut down one of the legs until it does sit flat. Shouldn't be a big deal. After that, we just needed to paint it. So while Sarah took the chair, put it on our other workbench, and started painting it with a single coat primer and outdoor black paint, I worked on assembling the other chair the exact same way I did before. The only thing I did different was I used that right angle brace that I had screwed into the table to kind of hold all the pieces as I put them together, and I don't know if that contributed to it being more flat, but either way, it definitely came out better than the first one. And when that was done, Sarah let me help out and paint the second one, making sure to cover every inch of the thing because you don't want water getting into it over time. The last thing we did was take these little feet that we found that were for the bottom of chairs. We knew it was going to be on a deck. We wanted to be able to slide it around easily, so we just put 2 on the bottom of each foot. And that's it. There you have it. The chairs look absolutely beautiful, and to be honest with you, they are way more comfortable than we thought. When I was putting together the 1x4 slats with that 2x2 brace, I just was expecting the whole thing to flex when you sat in it, but nope, this thing is solid as a rock. Very, very comfortable. They look great, and they work great too.
All right, so Sarah, what do you think?
I can't believe we're sitting in the chairs that we made. Like, are you serious? They're amazing.
They really are. I think my favorite part is by changing the 2x4 armrest into 2x6s. It gives us a lot of flat surface. You can
Have your coffee
easily put a coffee cup there. I've been coming out in the mornings and putting my iPad on its stand right here so I can read the news while enjoying my coffee. They worked really, really well.
I'm impressed with us, really. These are fantastic.
I think we should also be impressed with Anna White as well. So again, we found some plans on her website about 10 years old. So if you guys would like to build your own, we're going to link to that in the description as well.
I want to thank Heart for sponsoring this episode and reminding us that we can build anything we can imagine if we do it with heart.
All right, guys, break's over.
Go make something.